Hello and welcome to Beyond Top 10 Tennis. My name is Dr. Ashley Morgan-Berge and I'm your host. If you're not familiar with my work, would like to learn more about it, head on over to AM8 International, the first tennis lab of its kind worldwide that is centered on delivering top 10 tennis rankings and is 100% backed by science. This season, we're embarking on something new, something fresh, where I've been holding back. Changeover segments will deliver how to beat the best players in the world and or how the best players in the world are winning with top 10 to Grand Slam differences. If you want more, that's where my 14 books come into play. So be sure to dive into them and become familiar with AM8 International and the 180 plus previous episodes. Oh my goodness. All right, so it's a new frontier and I'm no longer holding back. As always, buckle in and enjoy the ride. Welcome to another edition of Beyond Top 10 Tennis. As promised, our last episode, I did say I was quickly going to follow up with another episode. They're back to back. With the predictive analytics of the 2026 Australian Open draw. Rather than bunching them together, sometimes I guess we have done that with long episodes. I wanted to give you a more precise rundown, just a segment you could click on, tune into to have a look at those analytics. And today you would have seen in the notes, if you like, I'm going to focus on first to second round. I might get a little bit excited, might go further. But look, the screen's over here, so I'm looking over here, but I am still here. But again, these are our live segments. So again, if you've got feedback, send it through. If you've got questions, etc., send that through as well. I'm going to start with the WTA Tour draw, then head on over to the ATP draw. Now, look, historically, we've done this together. You know, I have my trusty notepad and my pen here, and I am going to take the time to write it down. You get to hold me accountable as well, where I'm sharing those key insights. Normally, the draw is accessible on like a one-pager, but for some reason, the Australian Open has not made that accessible yet or at this stage, maybe because we're very early in. I'm not going to have a look at the matches that are live at the moment. We've just touched on some of them. I'll leave the results for next. It may be a little bit ironic if I do get a couple wrong if they've already lost early, but I don't think that is the case. There's only been a handful of matches at this stage that have been completed. All right, so top half of the draw, Sabalenka's here. All right, Sabalenka, we've got Pavlyuchenkova, Lemans, Sandsku, Raducanu, Orat, Mboko, and so I think the biggest in this section, look, first round, where obviously we've got Sabalenka's getting through. I'm going to put Sabalenka through over Pavlyuchenkova. I'm picking Sabalenka should potentially play Raducanu in the third round, but I'm actually going to put, because Sabalenka had that upset, Raducanu had that upset in Hobart, is very difficult to gauge her level. But look, we'll put Raducanu, but I want to be really clear. I think I'm actually going to put a side mark there with Lemans. I'm not going to. This is that's a potential anomaly, and it does happen. We will have a few, so that when I double up, it's really like, let's see. So that's the third round. I'm not going to get too excited. Let's see what's next. All right. How well Mboko played is really going to depend on her recovery. Because we've got Mboko, Jones, McNally, Sasahumi, Kudermetova, all right, Torsten. So I'm pretty comfortable, I think, if Torsten is at full fitness and Mboko recovers how I'll say anticipated, we should see Mboko and Torsten in the third round, but that could definitely change depending on Torsten's fitness, because we know that she did have to have that early withdrawal or she retired from that match. All right, going down, Alexandrova's looking pretty good. Haddad Maia looks like she's got, well, Putintseva is pushing her to a third right now, potentially, because Strzok, I think I'm pretty confident if Kostyuk plays well as well as she played in Brisbane, right, we should see Alexandrova and Kostyuk. I don't think, I mean, look, it's a Grand Slam. We know upsets do happen, but that should. Now, should I say quite loosely? All right. Next section for the third, again, we're looking at Jovic. So I am skipping, obviously, past first and second. We're looking at third round potentials. Jovic, with how well, obviously, she's recently played in Hobart. Look, looking pretty good. Look, Fretch, Palin is already through. Fretch, she did withdraw from that match, right, this past week. Pretty confident putting Palini there. Let's put Jovic there. But I also think this section could open up only because Jovic, we're going off experience. On paper, she should get through, but we're gauging off experience, recovery, etc. Because, again, she's had a very big past week. All right, dropping down. Next, we have Gorf. All right, so Gorf's little section, Danilovic. Danilovic could definitely cause some issues. Look, I definitely think she's going to get past Venus unless, the height gets the better of her. Gorf, Danilovic, that'll be interesting. Second round. Still going with Gorf. Baptiste Vondrasova. I really want to go with Vondrasova, but she did have that withdrawal, which makes me think, I don't know if she can get multiple matches under her belt. Still, definitely, look, I'm going to put Gorf there. The concern is that Vondrasova, her fitness. But Baptiste, I think it was this time last year, she's played some exceptional tennis. But look, if Vondrasova doesn't get through, you want to say Baptiste. But look, Bezes Miniero had a pretty good year. Storm Hunter's been playing some really good tennis. You know what? Just because I'm going to put Hunter, just in case. She's an Aussie. She's playing exceptional. She qualified. She's previous #1 doubles player in the world. But look, she's been playing some good tennis. It's an anomaly, an absolute anomaly. Vondrasova's there, but I'm going to put Hunter just because you never know. Could fall first round, but there's many are obviously playing really good tennis. That little top section there, pretty confident Gorf over Rakimova and Danilovic over Venus there to put that second and Gorf to get through. Okay, dropping down. Makova and Christian, that's tough because Christian's been playing some really good tennis. Still going to put Makova there. I just like how she's been playing. She's on the verge of getting back into the top 10 potentially. Parks, Iala. Look, Iala and Makova in the second round, it looks like. That'll be really interesting. Still need to put Makova. Could definitely go to 3. Dropping down, Lynette and Navarro. Lee's there. You have to put Navarro. Despite her form, look, Lynette, former top 10. She normally would be seeded. I think it's going to be really difficult. I'm going to actually put Navarro or Lynette here. And look, I normally don't go the 50-50 route, but it's because of how she's been playing. The top section there with Makova, Iala, that's a tricky one. This section, look, Lee's been playing some great tennis. Osorio, yes. But I'm going to go with the seed and or prior seed on those rankings. All right. Next section, Svitolina. I definitely think she should have that in the bag. Buska, Klimakova, Jones, Svitolina there. And the next section, though, Gibson's had a huge win there over Blinkova straight sets. Krejcikova, Schneider. As much as I'd love to see Barbara get through, you really need to go Schneider with how well she's been playing, despite her result with Ondreeva less than 48 hours ago. And I think that would be an absolute blockbuster, third-round blockbuster, Schneider and Svitolina. Wow. But then again, potential. Krejcikova, absolutely. I think her fitness, I think the heat got to her in Adelaide, but let's see. All right. Yastremska, first seed has gone. Rus, all right. Stanovic, Tomljanovic, if she's healthy. That has really opened up. We're going to have a breakthrough player there already. And look, there's less than 2 hours into the Australian Open. Sakari actually got through. She came back from that down. So again, if you're listening to this episode off the previous episode, then you know what I'm talking about. Andriva Vekic, this section has really opened up for Andriva if she gets past Vekic. Should, but Vekic, you know, she was, I think, around, I want to say 9 months ago, got that top 20 ranking just. Look, this is tough. Rue started, but look, if Tomljanovic is healthy, you need to give her a shot, I think. Absolutely. Sakari, Andriva. I'm still going to put Andriva to get through. Again, we're focusing on the third round potentials here. All right, dropping down. Pegula's looking pretty good. Kessler potentially in that second round. And Badosa's here. I'm pretty comfortable, I think, putting Badosa. Look, Dice is a wild card. But Badosa had that really good match against, I want to say, Busco. Oh, it's escaping me. I'm going to put Pegula and Badosa looking pretty good. Pegula and Badosa down there. I think, and again, this is third round again. Look, Fernandez. Interested, I haven't seen much of her, or she hasn't. Pliskova Stevens, that's huge for both of those players facing off, but really could open up here. Keys is in that section too. Look, I'm going to still put Fernandez and Keys, but you never know. If a player comes up against a former Grand Slam finalist, which you have, and champion, Stevens, former Grand Slam champion, Pliskova, finalist there, both obviously former top 10 players. That's a big one. That's probably the biggest, I'll call that a retro one, even though both women are still very young. They're, I think, 30, early 30s under. That's a big one. But still, we'll go off experience with Fernandez still getting through with her ranking. And Keys should get through those earlier rounds. And I think Fernandez then is a test then to see if Keys actually has some room to build there. That'll be interesting. All right, Noskova in the next section, and Ostapenko. Ostapenko's fitness, though, so you really need to give an opening to Noskova. I'm still going Noskova. I think the deepest she's made here is third round, no, round 16 potentially. Ostapenko with how she's been playing. Look, I'm not 100% sure here, but I'm going to go out on a limb and put Wang. I have not. Kalinina's qualified. This one's really tricky. And I've just said Wang. I've just said Kalinina, and now I'm leaning towards Shramkova potentially. So I'm actually going to put Shramkova. Could be either way. Let's go Shramkova. I'm going to give Wang an opening there. But quite unsure about that one. You've obviously seen my hesitation live. All right, Kennan and Stearns. Kennan is seeded, but I'm actually going to give this one to Stearns. I really think she can push. If she's playing that level, even though we've seen Kennan with a big resurgence, it'd be great to see her go deep. Stearns, I'm still going to put her up there. Anisimova, Sinikova's in her sections, potential second round encounter. Anisimova still playing too good, regardless. All right, dropping down the draw further. Rybakina's in this next section, and Joint. So Joint has snagged a top 30 ranking. Wow. Absolutely, Rybakina. I don't think she'll fall before, say, the quarters, depending on her round of 16 lineup. Rybakina is looking pretty good. So in front of a toe, Valentine. Look, Valentine, you need to give to Joint as well. And I think that's going to be huge for Australian tennis as well, even though Joint didn't play the best the other day, but I think she's got to give her a really good chance. Mertens, I think, is leading the next half, and you saw how well Mertens played in the United Cup. And I tell you what, Benchik and Mertens potentially on course for a third round. And I'm pretty sure the United Cup, I think it was a tiebreak, wasn't it, in the third? Or maybe I'm just thinking otherwise. But I'm looking forward to that. I hope there's a repeat there. Mertens and Benchik, just with how well both players were at the United Cup, it was actually a really exciting match. Katie's got a tough one there, obviously, against Benchik, Bulter, tough. All right, Kazakina's there, former top 10, but I still think Benchik will get past Kazakina. Mertens should, Ushijama's this year, Osaka leads out, I think, the next section, and Samsonova. Still need to go with Osaka. Again, hardcore. She's still been playing some great tennis, Osaka. Lies even in the second round. And so Stay. Still going to go with Naomi. Inglis, Birrell, Kimberly's playing some good tennis, but Samsonova, Seidman. If it was grass, I could put Seidman. I'm still going to put Samsonova. She finished the year quite strong with some solid results that I was quite impressed by. Yeah, all right. So, and then we have, I think we're in the last section. Yeah, last section. All right, Kalinskaya. Yeah, I think she should get through with how well she's been playing. And Swiatek, but I am going to pen that down. But keep in mind, and I did say this in our previous episode, Buskova with how well she's playing. Buskova and Swiatek potentially has Buskova's second round, and that actually, I think, is the toughest second round lineup of all the women's players. But I think Swiatek has a good chance if she's playing how she played in those earlier rounds of the United Cup. Yes, I think the biggest challenge will come Kalinskaya third round, but it's really hard to gauge because she obviously fell to Gorf and Benchik, right? So let's see how she's performing, how she's used the past week. I don't have any doubts about Sabalenka progressing through. That was a lot of fun. All right, so we have done that. I'm going to leave that there. Next episode, we may have a look more, but we're looking at all those third rounds there. But this is cool, all right, because Sabalenka and Gorf are in the same section, and on Riva, and then Pegula, Keys, Anisimova, Pegula in a quarter, but Rybakina, Swiatek potentially in a quarter, quarter. So, quarter. Looking good on Driva, Gorf, Paolini, Sabalenka. You probably have to without getting too excited there, I'm going to wait till further on, but that's actually looking very interesting. There's not too many lopsided. I'm going to say Mboko and Sabalenka potentially third round could be really interesting there, but Torsten's obviously favored to get through. Let's leave it until the next episode. Let's see how they're going. Obviously, the first, second round, if all these players are still intact, if they have progressed, and if the third round lineup is obviously what's on paper. Normally, it's not. Normally, we're looking at about, the lowest 80, but typically around that 90%. So we'll see like 1, 2 just drops, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 potential maybes there. So I'm expecting that to be really quite open, those ones. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That was fun. All right, so now let's head on over to the men's side and have just as much fun. All right, Alcaraz leading at the top. He's looking. Look, Mute. He's got actually an easier pathway through than Sabalenka. That's ironic. All right, so we're putting Alcaraz down, and I think I'm pretty confident. Look, Korda is there, but Mute's playing School Cake. There could actually be an upset there. Korda hasn't played the best. Did lose Zheng. I might actually put quarter down. That is actually a maybe. Quarter, former top 30 player. I'm going to put quarter or Mute. But keep in mind, in these earlier rounds, we typically do see a lot of players in the, the later seeds do drop quite early, but haven't seen either play recently. But quarter, he has been working on climbing his way back. All right, dropping down, we've got Paul Vukic with how well he played against Tsitsipas. David Fekina. I'm still going to put Paul. Still could be an upset, but David Fekina, that could be really interesting. Paul, David Fekina. Should Vukic again, Tarante, but I'm still going to put Paul there. He's got a couple of matches under his belt. David Fekina obviously has been playing some great tennis. Bublik, here we go. So Bublik, Brooksby, Kaboli, and you know what? This was lucky because Kaboli's down 2-0. And Kaboli literally just then, you heard it first here, he's out. 20th seed Kaboli is out. That has hugely opened up Bublik's section of the draw. Oh my goodness. So I'm putting Bublik. Wow. But again, upset. There you go. Bublik and look, Echeverry and Kekmanovic are a set all, and Kekmanovic is up a break. That looked like it's going to 4 or 5. Ferry's a qualifier. That is, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to, this very tough. I'm going to put Kekmanovic with how he's playing. Echeverry maybe, but either or. I'll put either or there. Kekmanovic or Echeverry, whichever one wins, because Ferry is a qualifier, even though he just played phenomenal. You never know. That one I think will be an anomaly. All right, TFO, Kubler could be an upset there against TFO. Komasana's here, Medlovic, Diminor. I am going to put TFO, I think, and Diminor. But I'm not going to be surprised if Kubler has an upset. So I'm actually going to put TFO / Kubler. See if he finds that form he has historically sometimes had. But no, Alex, so Diminor and TFO there, but I have put Kubler just because. All right, Zarev's in action as we speak. Diallo, he's got Diallo, and I think that's actually quite a tricky first round for him. But I'm still going to put Zarev. Poprin, potentially second round for Zarev. Navar, Norrie. Look, still need to put Norrie. Yeah, I'll put Norrie, Zarev and Norrie, because Norrie just keeps coming back for more, and he loves a good, I think, 3, 4, 5 setter. All right, dropping down, Surundulos here and Rublev. I think this one's actually going to open up. I think this could be a really big anomaly here. Rublev and Analdi. Oh, wow. I'm actually going to, there's a little bit of a guessing involved here because of their current levels. I might actually put Zhang, or Zoom her. Rublev and Naldi. I'm actually going to put Analdi over Rublev. But again, I could be completely wrong. I just haven't seen enough upticks from Rublev lately. Rublev obviously is favoured to get through that section of the draw. All right, we've got Medvedev in this section and Rindinek. Medvedev definitely has a good opportunity here. I would be very surprised if he did not track through all the way to the round of 16. Even to below there, Fern Mazarak. He has been making some inroads, but he's in Rindinek section. But Rindinek has also been playing some good tennis. Okay. I think we're almost halfway. This section's all right. Teens in this section. First time I think he's being seeded at the Grand Slam and Alisame. Thompson potential. I'm still going to. Oh yeah, I'm still think the Tien and Duran, but still going to put Tien because oh my gosh, what a year he's had, and for same there. Okay, that is the first half, which means potentially Alcaraz or Alisame if I'm done that correctly. Wow. Okay. No, I have. Yep. All right. Mazzetti's at the top of the next section. And look, he did play well last week. Dimitrov's here as well. What a great opening potentially for Dimitrov. Well, look, he's got Makak. That's our first round. But I'm going to go yay for Mazzetti. But look at this because Dimitrov, Makak, and Tsitsipas is here. So Tsitsipas is meant to get through against Mokuzuki, but I would put Dimitrov over Tsitsipas. Makak or Dimitrov. I'm going to put Dimitrov or Makak, but that is a brutal. That's probably the biggest first round on the men's side or what I've seen so far. I am unfortunately ruling Tsitsipas out for third round, potentially through the first. But if he comes up against Dimitrov or Makak, I'm still going to put that. But noteworthy, Makak or Dimitrov are not seeded. Yeah, so Tsitsipas drawn a short straw there, but you know maybe he amps up. He finds that next level. He's done it before. Okay, Lecheka leads this section. Wawrinka's here. And Fritz, look, even though I love Wawrinka to have a good run, I'm still going to say Lehecka with how he's been playing, especially last year. I think he's due to be on the cusp, I'll say, of the top 10. Maybe not top 10, but the cusp. And Fritz. He's still playing some great tennis, Fritz. All right. Dropping down, Menzies leads this section, and we've got Grikenspor, Quinn, Hercax. All right, I'm going to put Menzies here, and if Hercax plays as well as he played at the United Cup, he's got Berge and then Grikenspor. I'm going to actually put Hercax, and I think that would be pretty exciting there. And again, not seeded. All right, Nakashima's in this section or leads this section, and Djokovic. This is what a lovely draw for Djokovic because I think he should breeze through to the round of 16, but I mean that politely. Still going to put Nakashima and then, yeah, Djokovic. Didn't see Djokovic play a lead-up event, but that's not, I'll say, unusual. But he definitely has those first, second, third round as probably a really good warm-up. That's actually a really nice draw for him. Yeah. All right, Shelton and Humbert. That's going to be tricky because of how well Humbert's been playing lately. Monfils is here, Sweeney, and Vachereau. First time I believe he's been seeded. I'm going to call a little bit of an upset here. Still going to put Shelton. But I'm not going to be surprised. I'm actually going to put Mannarino over Rinky because I don't know how many five-setters I've seen Mannarino play. But I think he's looking good potentially. If he gets past Rinky, look, Vachereau could get through. Oh, okay, fine. I'll put Mannarino and Vachereau there. And all right, Shapovalov leads the next section. Big opportunity, I think, for Shapovalov here. Former top 10 player. And Rudd's here. Still a big opportunity, I think, for Shapovalov. I'm going to put Shapovalov and Rudd, even though we've seen Rudd with some early exits, I'll say lately. But still, he had some good form at the United Cup. Not as good, but still, I think he did get that win over Alex from memory. But again, could be wrong. All right, Kakanakov is in this section and Dairy. I think, look, Kakanakov has Michelson. I think that's going to be quite hard. I'm still going to put Kakanakov, but I'm not going to be surprised if Michelson gets through. But Darderi's here, but so's Mapeshe Pericard. I'm actually going to put Mapeshe Pericard to get through to the third round. That could be interesting. If he's playing, how I've seen him play. Okay, now we're at Fonseca's in this section and Sinner. So we're at the bottom now. Nadi Wu, I still think Fonseca. And in Sinner's section, Duckworth, Prismic, Gaston Sinner. Need to put Sinner down there. All right, so that's that. Draw's done. We have a potential third. Bublik, Alcaraz in that section. Alex and Alcaraz look like they're on a quarter collision course. And Zverev and Gorlissime on a collision course, I would say. Djokovic and Mazzetti, wow.